What's up, everybody? I'm Michael Chris, 3 years running bestseller at ShineOn. Now I'm the CMO of ShineOn. I wanted to thank you so much for checking out our YouTube video. And if you like this kind of content, I want you to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and I hope you enjoy the video. To my daughter, you don't need to hold my fingers anymore to walk. However, I still miss your fingers as I cross the street. You don't need bedtime stories anymore to fall asleep. However, I still enjoy making up ridiculous stories to make you laugh. And today I want you to know no matter what, you will always be my little girl. So, design wise, this feels to me, I'd almost like to see it without that. With like maybe just the flowers or vice versa, right? Where like you maybe only have this with some other decals. For some reason, the flowers and then like the little cartoon image of the father and the dad, it's not quite working for me. It feels thematically, they just don't feel like they quite go together in my mind. I'm curious to hear what others think about that when it's your turn. When it's your turn. All right. The next thing is I do think the Forever Love can probably work on this. I think Interlocking Hearts may have been better. We have some other pieces that might work better for like the parent-daughter niche. Interlocking Hearts is an absolute killer in that particular niche, but it's also kind of been around the block. So we have Infinity. I think it's Infinity Hearts. We have Double Hearts that might kind of work, even though that one starts to get a little more romantic. There's some other stuff you could have done here, though, in terms of the product niche fit, I think. But Forever Love could potentially work, but we typically see this take off more in the romantic niches. Now, when it comes to the actual phrase itself, I do think, look, you're going for the sentimental and the heartfelt stuff. The thing I'm kind of struggling with is I can't figure out if this phrase really has a punchline. Like it seems like it's two or three sentences all stacked on top of each other. All of them are a little bit emotional, but it doesn't feel like the phrase takes me anywhere. Like it doesn't land anywhere in particular when I read it. So I'm going to do it one more time. You don't need to hold my fingers anymore to walk. However, I still miss your fingers as I cross the street. You don't need bedtime stories anymore to fall asleep. However, I still enjoy making up ridiculous stories to make you laugh. Today, I want you to know no matter what, you'll always be my little girl. Yeah, okay. I mean, maybe it does kind of drive towards a punchline. It doesn't entirely deliver for me. What I would seriously do if I was going to try to work with this, I'd take this phrase, drop it into like Notepad, and see if there were a way I could make it a little punchier. Like try to kind of get some of these excess words out of here and make this thing a little bit punchier, and maybe even give it some rhythm. One of the best-selling parent-to-daughter niches phrases we've ever seen is that one where it's like the stronger, braver, smarter one. Like you're smarter than you think, braver than you know, and smarter than you'll believe. It's something like that. But it's a little bit punchy. It's got like kind of a rhythm to it, and kind of the way it reads it's the phrase itself reads for emotional impact. I feel like this one might be due to like the excess word count. I'm not really sure, but I feel like you have opportunity with the phrase. Like there's some golden nuggets here, but you need to kind of trim this up a little bit from my perspective. You follow the greeting card format, which I would say is good. I don't know that this would be legible on a mobile device. The phrase itself is just really tiny. But if you changed like kind of some of these design elements around, you might be able to make more room for it. In terms of template, I don't know that this is a great template. Specifically because, just for me anyway, that and that clashes. I don't know what it is, but those are just not working for me. All right, that's my feedback. I see Kirsta put up here. Here's the phrase I was referring to. Always remember, you're braver than you believe, stronger than you seem, smarter than you think, and love more than you know. It drives to a punchline. It reads really well. It's not quite a poem, but there's a rhythm to the words and kind of the way it flows out of your mouth. This is probably the best-selling daughter phrase I think we've seen at ShineOn. It's been around the block, so you're going to have to do something original to it if you want to use it. But
I have versions of that in my kids' rooms.
Jim's got versions of this in his daughter's rooms.
Well, I've got one in my daughter and one in my son's room and one in our baby's room. So
Jim is part of what's made this a bestseller.
Yes. Parents like me keep this phrase alive.
All right, Kirsta.
So I would probably start with like pretty much like this example, like just solid color, and then the phrase being really legible. I don't mind like the gold and the black sort of
Mm,
theme. But normally, what I like to do is I like to test just the phrase itself first, because when you have so many design elements, it can you don't know whether it's the design element or whether it's the phrase or whether it's the jewelry piece. You've got so many variables. Whereas
yeah,
if you
true that.
break it down to the simplistic phrase and like just the background, you can test it, and then if you have success with it, you can add more elements and see if that increases or decreases the response from the buyers. So if you start with so many elements, it can be hard to diagnose whether it's targeting, whether it's the phrase, just so many more variables if you just stick to a simpler design to begin with, and then you can test these variations. So maybe the first variation will be the phrase and the dark background. The second variation you can introduce the flowers, and then the third variation you can test um, the dad and daughter graphic as well. So you can test the different variations. But what I like to do is I like to go for like with my cold targeting for just like the simple design. So something like I showed in example. And then in your retargeting, you can show them these other designs which are more graphic or more um, because you'll find that some buyers really do like this. But if you want to appeal to the majority, I think that it's better to stick to the simpler design with less amount of elements on the design.
I dig. Zappy?
Yeah, I was literally just trying to, I don't know if you can see this.
Oh,
I'm not going to say that this is a winning phrase by any means, because you don't ever know until you test, but I was just sort of playing with the phrase itself, because I think it might be beneficial for some people to see, okay, what might a revised version of this look like? So maybe I'm not saying this is great, but you don't need my fingers to safely cross the street anymore, but I can still feel your little hand grasping me tightly. You don't need my bedtime stories, but memories of cuddling you to sleep will warm my heart forever. No matter how old you get, you'll always be my baby girl. I love you, Dad. So I sort of just took elements of what they had there and sort of just tried to tug a little more at the motion to see if, maybe this might be a little tighter phrase. I don't know. But that would be something you can do to take an existing phrase.
dude, for doing that inside of like 5 minutes or whatever you had, I actually think you did a pretty good job. But that is exactly what I'm talking about. It's like, let's just try to make it a little punchier and have more impact. Anyway, do you have anything else, Sappy?
Yeah. So again, things that some of you already touched on, but the design elements, I think if you're gonna do images of people, silhouettes often do work really well. That way, it opens it up to a little bit more, more demographics. But the phrase itself, again, just sort of hard to read, just because of sizing and everything. But yeah, that's mostly it.
Yeah,
Okay.
what I see a lot is animals, or like some sort of animals instead of human beings, because that opens the demographics as well. So there's like elephants, there's like lions, there's like all sorts of animals that I've seen with a lot of these designs that work really well. So that could
Yeah.
be a switch in
I
there,
want to see
which
a
could
dolphin
open
design
it up.
take off.
Yeah, because keep in mind when people
The
see the
former
images
dolphin
on there,
trainer.
they're sort of picturing themselves in the imagery they see, so they're seeing that dad and that daughter. And if, oh, well, my daughter doesn't have blonde hair, or, whatever,
Yeah.
I'm a different skin color. It's whether they're consciously
agree with
thinking that or not, that's sort of what goes into it. So that's why sometimes it's better to go almost more general with some of that sort of thing.
All right, you guys. Let's see. Jim, has Jim had a chance?
No, Zappy stole mine. I was going to rework the phrase, and then I saw him typing, and so then I was like, well, there goes that idea.
Well,
Thanks,
see, you should
Zappy.
have typed yours up, and then we could take a vote.
I
which
don't
one-
know how to use Miro. I can navigate, but I don't know how to like do a text box and all this stuff. Anyways,
Okay, you got the next one.
I would echo a lot of what's said. For me personally, I would remove the caricature, the icon of the people. Another reason would be the fact that if you're presenting this to someone who's obviously like grown up and isn't a little girl anymore, why would you visually portray her as a little girl? Like it seems like it's a dad and daughter either going to school or to a picnic or something like that, and maybe that's trying to show imagery of like the memory gone by. But I would just, I would remove that element completely. I've seen that the flower backgrounds tend to do better from like the granddaughter niche more so than the daughter niche.
Yeah.
Like grandparents love the little flowery things, so I would almost like remove those completely too. That opens up your space. You could then shift the phrase over to the left side as well, blow it up a little bit. The little doily, squirrely things next to Love Dad is fine. I don't see any issues there. I agree with Kirsta. The black with the gold lettering should work just fine there. And then removing some of the fragments of the phrases will allow the text to be larger, so it's easier to be read.
Yeah, by the way, I think you finally kind of hit the nail on the head with what I was trying to articulate earlier. Those flowers are just not going to resonate with a dad, like a father. Like they're just not.
Right.
There's a mismatch there.
Anything you're like it's a weird combination when you try to go after like the wife niche or the daughter niche from dad. So it's like you have to stop a guy's newsfeed scroll, right, to sell that for a gift that's going to a woman. So you have to you have to entice the male brain to get them to stop. That's why the dark backgrounds with the bright text and very simple to read stops the guy's scroll. And then the phrase is like, oh, my daughter or my wife would really like this. And that's when they buy. And then the daughter loves it or the wife loves it because of the words in the phrase. They forgive the design because the design to me sells the guy or gets the guy to stop and click. And then the phrase makes the girl, cry or do the emotional response that the guy's hoping for.
Yeah, I'll just add something to that too, because I think that's a really important point, is that while the end recipient is the daughter in this case, we're still trying to sell to someone else. We have to sell to the buyer, and then they're all, so if it's maybe too flowery in some cases, you might not make that initial attraction and make that sale.
Hey, Michael here again. Thank you so much for checking out today's video. If you like the content, make sure you like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. And there's one more thing I want you to do. Check out the links in the description below. I want you to look at the link to ShineOn.com where you can sign up and become a seller with us today. It literally takes 60 seconds and it could change your life. Secondly, I want you to go to our Facebook group. It's the most engaged e-commerce group on the planet. We're constantly sharing important tips, tricks, and things like that can help you on your seller journey and level up your e-commerce game. Thank you so much for watching the video, and I hope you have a great one. Take care.